Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. I don't know if my man Gilbert Arenas is going to see this. I'll probably send him the video, but we'll see. So, Gilberto. I've been arguing with Gilbert Arenas now for well over a year. I've been arguing with Gil for this ridiculous support for LeBron James. And I don't understand it. And I used to tell Gil, for a Kobe fan, son, you be letting dudes come on your platform and just dump on them. And I said to Gil, I never seen the Gil's Arena so quiet until the day Rich Paul walked into the building. I was like, why is that? Usually Gil's Arena, man, they be letting it fly. They be letting it go. But Rich Paul walked in there, and I'm like, damn, you could even hear a mosquito fart in this room. Like, good Lord. It was so quiet, right? And I've been noticing Gil's Arena is more of a LeBron platform. They do have times where they're like pro Jordan, pro Kobe, but they're a LeBron platform, and I'll tell you how I know this. Recently, Gil did a post of him that went viral or whatever. I think it was on his personal Instagram or something like that, where he ranked his 10-plus players of all time. And he had Jordan at 1, Kobe at 2, LeBron at 3. His followers lost it. His followers lost it. Do you know why they lost it? Because Gil predominantly has LeBron fans that follow his content. Predominantly, right? Because he skews more to LeBron. So a lot of people would then assume that there's some kind of connection between him or them and Klutch Sports. But Gil be like, nah, man, what do you think? Nah, man. You know how Gil be talking, nah, man. You just laugh at a ha-ha. So what happened? Mark Cuban was on there. And he was being interviewed about a bunch of things. But then they get to the part where they ask him, yo, where do you rank, who are the top? Yes. They were reacting to this ridiculous CBS Sports troll piece where they were ranking the best players in the last 25 years. And essentially what happened was they were asking Mark Cuban to rank or give the best players in the last 25 years. So Mark Cuban starts to list off people. Kobe, this guy. And at no point he says LeBron. And then the host, Josiah, I believe is his name, says, I didn't hear you. That dude and LeBron, he don't twerk. But he got a pack under the seat. You know that dude got a pack. So shout out to him, man. So he goes, I heard you. I noticed you didn't mention LeBron James. Like, I'm a LeBron fan, and we got a thing going on with Klutch. And if you saw Gilbert Arenas' face, he actually started to laugh because he's like, God damn, this dude didn't let the cat out the bag. For those of y'all who didn't hear the sound, matter of fact, we'll also show you Gil's expression when he said that. And look at his face like, damn, man, you had to, come on, man. Come on. So for those of y'all who didn't hear what he had to say, take a listen to what he had to say here. And then when I come back and continue on the show, take a listen to these comments here.
Recently, CBS Sports released a top 25 players of the 21st century list. They had Dirk ranked 10th on that list. But I don't know, other than Dirk, you had a front row seat to see all the guys who were on that top 25 list. In your opinion, who is the best NBA player in the 21st century?
In the 2000s.
All the way to
2001
all the way to
the 20.
Okay, so there's Agent Zero.
The whole century.
And then,
Yeah, I wish.
I'd have to go with Kobe, Shaq, McGrady, Duncan, Dirk, Garnett, and then you can put any of 15 different guys, right?
I noticed you didn't say LeBron. I'm a LeBron guy.
Yeah, I know LeBron definitely should fit in there
Okay,
too. Yeah, I got no problem with that.
We have a Klutch thing.
No, I'm a LeBron fan, right?
Fantastic. So you heard what they had to say. I mean, you said it. Now, here's the part that I think everybody should take notice of. This is the part where you should take. It's not the fact that he said, I'm a LeBron fan. That's practically normal. Any fan of a top player that's not mentioned would be like, hey, man, I'm a Kobe fan. I'm a Jordan fan. I'm a Dirk fan. You didn't mention Stephen Curry, but you didn't mention my favorite player. Good. That's not the part that stood out. That was perfectly normal. Is what came next. You know, we got something in the works with Klutch and da-da-da-da-da. That's the part that stood out. Because it now is almost like, if we're not promoting LeBron to this GOAT status, or not mentioning his name for every little thing, you may mess it up for us. And that's where the issue lies. Everybody got their marching orders. It's like signing up to them. You know, like when you like be in a cafeteria line, right? Or you sign up to the military and they shave your head. Instead of shaving your head, they just give you a jar of honey and say, okay, welcome to the LeBron fandom. And then you walk off, and then the next guy, they give him another jar of honey, and they just keep passing it on. They don't shave your head, but you do get a jar of honey. And essentially what they're saying is, if you're affiliated with us in any kind of way, you have to sing the LeBron James gospel. And I think it's important to say this. Gil's Arena is the biggest sports basketball podcast in the world. It's the biggest. I can't think of any other, right? In terms of a daily show, live show format, they're number one, right? So if these guys can infiltrate that platform and get people on that platform to twerk it up on a daily basis, right? Then they can continue to propagate this nonsense. I'll give you another example. Who's one of the most outspoken people in terms of the anti-LeBron James narrative on Gil's Arena? Who is it? Rashard McCann. Shout out to my man, Rashard McCann. Shout out to him. I'm going to send him this video after this. Rashard is the only one that be having the balls to be like, nah, y'all overdoing it. Come on, like, knock it off, man. I don't want a honey. Like, yo, get off me. I don't want it. Like, knock it off, man. So what happened? When Rich Paul went on the podcast, do you know the one person he called out? Rashard McCann. All the other cast members that were twerking it up, he didn't mention nothing about them because they twerking it up. The one guy that had a different opinion than most of these people in media, Rashard is hating. All these other dudes, all they do is twerk it up all day long. But the one guy, you're not even allowed to have another opinion. They're even allowed. I'm sure they don't even like him on that network. They're like, nah, man, come on, man. We gotta get everybody, like, everybody's lined up. When we take the picture, everybody holds up their jar like this and they smile. Well, Rashard refuses to hold up a jar. He's gonna ruin the photo. He can't be there. I'm being facetious, but you get the point that I'm trying to make. It's like he refuses to twerk. Why is he here? Why is he here? Come on, Gilberto. This is what y'all got going. Like, I already knew it. Is these other dudes is fooled by, I already know what time it is, bro. I already know. That's why you never notice I never asked to be on your show or nothing like, I know. I may get on No Chill Gil. I may be allowed on there. But you ain't never gonna see my black ass on Gil's Arena. They not gonna let it happen, bro. Gil may want me on it, but like, nah, you know, he over there with them. He a Kobe Jordan guy. You can't. They're probably gonna jump me on the set. So, you know, it is what it is, man. So let's get into today's topic. So recently, Mark Cuban went on Gil's Arena not too long ago, about a week or so now. And he talked about a bunch of things. He talked about the GOAT debate. He talked about the Luka Doncic trade to the Lakers, you know, the past and all of those interesting things. But there was a particular point where they started talking about the business of the NBA. And Mark Cuban was pointing out that he doesn't like the direction in which things are going. So let me give you guys an insight here. I'm currently living outside the States. So I watch all of the games on League Pass. I think the price now is $120 or something like that. And I can watch every single game, right? But I used to hear people complaining in the comment section like, man, it's impossible to watch this game. It's impossible to watch that game. I'm like, what are they talking about? I used to say to myself, just get League Pass. You can watch all the games on League Pass. I didn't understand it. It was only until I was in New York this spring, summer, whatever. And I tried to watch some games. No, I tried to watch League Pass. And it wasn't showing any games. And I'm like, wait, what is going on here? My League Pass wasn't working. So if I wanted to watch games and I was there during the playoffs, when the Knicks were still in the playoffs. So I would watch the games on ESPN And if I wanted to watch any other games, I couldn't. And I was like, oh, now I see what people are talking about, which goes into where we're going to, because as you guys know, the NBA just recently inked a $77 billion deal over the next 10 or 11 years. You have certain companies paying them like $2.8 billion a year, like ESPN for the NBA rights, others. So you can follow those numbers. I think they're getting paid something like $7 billion a year with Amazon and all these other stream platforms. And then you multiply that by the number of years. That's how you get to $77 billion. And what I've understood is that, because we covered this extensively when we were reporting on what Front Office Sports was saying, essentially what the NBA did was they took their inventory. So they have 82 games plus the playoffs. And they said, okay, ESPN, you're going to get 20 games. This company, you're going to get 10 games. This guys, you're going to get so-and-so games. These guys, you're going to get the first round of playoffs, second round playoffs. You're going to get the final. And that's how they just broke up the pie. So if you wanted to watch all of these games, let's say you're an avid NBA follower, if you wanted to watch all of the games or watch games every night, chances are you need to be subscribed to multiple streaming platforms, which now becomes ridiculous to be paying all of these different streaming platforms just to watch these live events. And I think some people are just coming to the mindset of like, well, then I guess I'm just going to have to miss out on some of these games. So essentially, this is what Mark Cuban was talking about when he was criticizing the NBA, because he believes that they're making a mistake and they're selling out NBA fans. So take a listen to what Mark Cuban had to say here on Gil's Arena, and then we're going to come back and continue on with the show. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
What do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges for the NBA over the next decade?
I think the whole media space is really funky, right? That social media is more of a connection to fans. Mm-hmm. Like, particularly with the NBA, kids today are more fans of the players than they are the teams. Mm-hmm. Like when we grew up, you're a Lakers fan, right? I'm a Steelers fan, I'm a Pirates fan, all Pittsburgh teams, right? Now it's just like you see Steph, and Steph comes to town, and there's a ton of kids with Steph jerseys on. Yep. That wasn't going to happen 10 years ago, pre-social media. So I think, trying to monetize and recognize that, social media is going to change and impact how we market our players, market our teams, and market our product. I think the fact that private equity is buying into so many teams, I think is a problem, because, for the first 20 years that I was an owner, I and other owners too would be pushing the fan experience, make it affordable. Now it's all about valuations, and so everybody just, if you're a private equity and you have investors in these things called special purpose vehicles, all you want to do is the value of the team to go up. Mm-hmm. And if you're trying to just jack up ticket prices, jack up costs, jack up merchandise sales, that's not necessarily best for fans, mm-hmm. And so I think fans are getting priced out. So I think that's an issue. I think, the ultimate business question for the NBA is how will our games impact streaming subscriptions for our new streaming partners? Because one of the reasons these numbers went up so high is Peacock streaming, I think it was them, they did a deal with the NFL, like one special deal for like a playoff game, yep. and got like a zillion new subscribers.
Well, I was one of them.
Right, and everybody is betting that's what's going to happen. If there's a lot of churn or we don't get those subscriptions for those partners, it's going to be tough for them, right? And so I think that's a big issue. But in terms of the players themselves, the NBA is in good hands. Mm-hmm. In terms of the quality of the game, the NBA is in good shape. In terms of taking it to Europe, like, I think for the whole time I was there, I was like, why are we giving our best players to the Olympics so that Comcast can make money and the Olympic Committee can make, because the NBA players were for the Summer Olympics, the NBA players were the draw, right? Mm-hmm. Why are we giving it free? Why don't we create our own World Cup and do like soccer did, right? For the Olympics, 23 and under, great. But let's play Slovenia against, all the different countries and own it. It would be enormous. Yep. It would be the biggest basketball event ever. And David Stern and then Adam were like, that's not our deal with FIBA and we can't do it. And I think, now they're trying to put teams in Europe mm-hmm. to find a new way to raise revenues and margins and everything. And I think it'll do okay, but they're missing the big opportunity.
So you heard what he had to say. What are my thoughts about this? Someone like me, I'm going to pay for all of them, but I'm not going to pay out of my pocket. It's going to be a business expense because I'm watching these games primarily because, yeah, I watch it for entertainment, sure, but also to be abreast to be abreast of what's going on. So I'm just going to mark it up and I'll pay for it that way. But most people are not going to do that. Most people watch NBA for leisure. They're not watching it because they talk about the NBA. Number one. Number two, most people don't have that disposable income to pay for all of these different streaming apps all at once. Most people are just not willing to do that, right? They're not. And usually what happens is if you pay for a particular subscription, I only have one subscription that is reoccurring. That's Netflix. Every other one is just kind of like HBO Max, I'll get it and then I'll let it go and I'll get another one. And the only reason why people usually sign up for those things, at least based off of my experience, is because you may want to watch a particular show that's coming out. So you tune in, you subscribe, you watch it. But once that show's over, chances are you get rid of it. Like I was watching, what's that show on Netflix, not Netflix, HBO Max with the Star Wars, the new updated version of it. I was watching because of that, but then the series ended. And I'm like, okay, I'm not subscribed anymore, right? So people usually do it for that. But to tell me that people should have all of these subscriptions running concurrently just because they want to watch a game on any given night, I think is ridiculous. And a lot of people are probably just going to opt out to say, you know what, look, I'm not going to partake in this madness. I'm not doing it. All right, I have better things I'd rather spend my money on, and I think that this is a calculation that obviously the NBA must have taken into inventory, but nevertheless, it doesn't disprove what Mark Cuban is saying, that it is an issue, especially for fans. We are quickly approaching the point of no return. We are getting it. Like I was driving today, and I was saying to myself, I think people are going backwards. Humanity is going backwards. We think we're going forward, but I surmise we're going backwards. I believe that relying on all of these AI apps and all is making people stupid about a minute because you're slowly taking away your ability to think for yourself and use your brain, right? And the less of your brain that you use, ultimately over time, as a group, will get stupider. But you have that aspect of it. You also have the things that you're witnessing in society. Like we're literally going backwards with some of the things that are now becoming normalized, right? And then I noticed what's happening in the NBA space. Forget about what's happening in music and all in the NBA. Like we're reaching a point where now the bar on the floor is like the new standard. And these NBA guys are just saying any and everything. Patrick Beverly recently went viral for some comments that he made in terms of Kevin Durant, as it pertains to Larry Bird. Now, I can understand if you think KD is better than Larry Bird. I can get that. Fine. But the way he was talking was insane to me. It was almost like as if Larry Bird wasn't really good at all. It was like it's a hoax. Like all these people that rank him so high, it's a hoax. Like they saw him, but they didn't really have eyeballs the way we have eyeballs today looking at KD. It's like, bro, what are you even talking about? And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it does. And there's a reason we put this NBA player almost gets thrown out of the NBA for his comments. So there was an article that I came across from Fadeaway World with the following headline. Michael Porter Jr. hails Nikola Jokic as the GOAT. Oh my God, bro. Could have won 5 MVPs in a row. Folks, we are here now. This is where we are. Let me continue on with the article. Michael Porter Jr. has never been shy about showing love for his former Denver Nuggets teammate. But his latest comments took things a step further. Asked who he considers the greatest basketball player of all time. Porter didn't name Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Instead, he went straight to Nikola Jokic. I'm going Nikola Jokic. The reason I say that is because he could have won MVP 5 years in a row. Can you name another player who could have won MVP 5 years? Oh, God. maybe somebody didn't. Maybe somebody didn't let Michael Porter Jr. know. But there are players that have a lot of MVPs. He said, "Can you name somebody that could have won 5 MVPs in a row?" Yes, Michael Porter Jr. we can. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He won one in 71, 72, 74, 76, 77. He won 5 MVPs in 6 years. 5. He won 2 in a row. Then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in 6 years or 7 years. You have one right there. What about a guy named, I don't know, a guy named Michael Jordan? You know, you heard of him? That guy, he won 5 MVPs. Now, he didn't win them all in a row, but he won one in 88, 91, 92, 96, 98. Now, here's the kicker in all of this. Not only do Kareem and Jordan have more MVPs than Nikola Jokic, Nikola Jokic never won 5 MVPs in a row. So couldn't I have just simply said Jordan could have won 7 in a row? Or Kareem could have won 8 in a row? I mean, they have the evidence to show it. One guy has 5, one has 6. How many, I think Nikola Jokic has 3? Nikola Jokic, I think he has 3 MVPs, if I'm not mistaken. 3? So you're saying that this guy that could have won 5 in a row is the GOAT. Meanwhile, you have other players that won 6, 5, and 6, and they're not the GOAT. That's number one, which shows me that this guy really must likely not know much about his own sport in terms of the knowledge. That's number one. Number 2, I don't know who these confused NBA fans are. I think some of y'all are turning an MVP into a different thing. An MVP never meant you were the best player in the world. Ever. What an MVP signifies was, and usually the standard requirement for an MVP was, you were the best player on the best team. Usually. That's what it means. The MVP usually went to the team with the best record, the best player on that team. Usually. Okay? I'll give you an example why the MVP doesn't carry the value that some people try to make it carry to make some kind of convoluted basketball argument. Do you know who won 2 back-to-back MVPs? In 2005 and 2006? Steve Nash. What NBA fan is going to walk outside and say, in 2005, 2006, Steve Nash was the best player in basketball? Who's saying that? Who? Nobody. But he won the MVP. So, according to you, the MVP or the best player that year was Steve Nash in 2005 and 2006. Well, you would have to be cracked up here. You would get laughed out of any basketball room if you suggested that. So why are we suggesting that now? That's why when people try to make this MVP total, it means nothing. It means that you had the best year. It doesn't mean you're the best player. The year when Stephen Curry won the unanimous MVP, even your LeBron James was crying and saying that doesn't make you the best player. And he was right. It doesn't make you the best player. So all the years MJ never won the MVP, there were players that were better than him. Who are they? Who are they? Where are these players? Who are they? But to have such a simplistic argument as an NBA player, who this is your craft, and you're given such a simplistic argument for why you think your teammate or former teammate, I don't know what team he plays on now, whatever, is the GOAT, is embarrassing. You ought to be better than that. More importantly, you should be able to do better than that. You should be able to give a more robust, well thought out argument than simply something that's distilled down to, oh, well, he won the MVP, or he could have won 5 MVPs in a row. Bro, that don't make you the best player in the world. It just doesn't. Jordan could have won 0 MVPs, and we would have all come to the conclusion rather quickly that this guy's the greatest ever. You don't need an MVP to validate that. But nevertheless, they try to run around with this argument. So let me get this straight. If Nikola Jokic won 6 MVPs, he's better than Michael Jordan? Now, this Nikola Jokic thing, let me tell y'all where this is going. In the next few years, this is what's going. Nikola Jokic is going to be ranked ahead of Kobe. He's going to be ranked ahead of Larry Bird. They're probably going to put him ahead of Magic Johnson. They're probably going to try to put him ahead of LeBron. That's where we're trending with this Nikola Jokic. And Nikola Jokic, I think, is the best player in basketball. Right? I think he's the best player in basketball. He's the best. I don't care who won the finals MVP. It ain't SGA. SGA is not better than Nikola Jokic. He is not better than him. I'm sorry. He's not. But that's what they're going to try to say in the next few years. You just watch and see. So let's get into today's topic. So over the weekend, over the weekend, a few days ago, let me say on last week, Friday or so, we produced a show that was centered on some explosive comments that Ray Lewis made when he was on the PBD podcast, right? So as you guys know, Ray Lewis and Shannon Sharpe used to be very close. They used to be teammates on the Baltimore Ravens. I think they won a Super Bowl together in 2000, if I'm not mistaken. I do remember them. I think at one point Shannon was staying with Ray, or Ray was staying with Shannon, something like that. You can even go look up old videos of them on Hard Knocks on YouTube. Very, very funny clips. But since then, Shannon Sharpe has become one of the biggest voices in sports media, although he's had some legal issues that he had to deal with this year. Nevertheless, he's still one of the biggest guys in the business. So Ray Lewis went on Patrick Bet-David's podcast, and they were talking about a bunch of things. To be fair, I didn't see the full podcast, but this clip went viral of Ray Lewis being asked about Shannon Sharpe. And essentially, Patrick Bet-David was asking him, hey, did you see Shannon becoming as big as he is today? And Ray Lewis said, yes, he saw it. And then he went on to say that, but he's been shocked at some of the things and the messaging from Shannon Sharpe. So for those of you who probably didn't hear that audio, we want to play that for you now. And then we're going to continue on with the show. So take a listen to what Ray Lewis had to say there.
Shannon Sharpe, did you think he was one day going to be a good TV guy personality?
Yeah.
So you knew he was made for TV?
Yeah.
And would he say he's going to do it?
Yes, he had already started prepping.
How much before he retired did he tell?
He'd been started.
Oh, so he's known he's going to be doing that.
Yeah.
So you're not surprised by the success he's having with his podcast and TV and him and Skip and Stephen A., all that stuff?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm shocked at his content. I wouldn't, in a million years, the things that Shannon has said now or did now, I would never believe that Shannon would say or do any of these things.
Like what?
Simply, I take drinking. Shannon, in my entire career, I've never saw Shannon with a drink. Ever. Like it was against the law, right? Because he had some stuff in his family that he didn't want to follow that. And then so I kind of started to watch him, and then we kind of went our own separate ways because I'm like, you're going to take that route. I can't go that route. Never can go that route. And that route is to become so worldly that you become popular because you're talking about ignorance, right? A lot of times, a lot of these gossip conversations that they're having and bringing up all this stuff, I'm not going to do that to nobody. I'm not in the business for that. I'm in life to try to teach people what does it mean to be a better man or get back to the kingdom, And a lot of times, and a lot of the guys get in trouble with these podcasts and things, man, because everybody wants the follower, everybody wants to be popular, everybody wants to make money, but that's a tight rope into what you call influence and popularity. Right? The devil has the ability to make you popular. God has the ability to give you influence that when people see you, they see an image of him. And that's the thing for me that started to switch with not just Shannon, but just a couple of people. I'm like, wow, you would switch out like that? Really? And I would never, ever. Why? Because of the respect that I have for my mother, my daughters, my granddaughters, life, period. Like, and I think men, given these new platforms, we've overrode what the platform is actually for. The platform is supposed to help somebody find a new direction. We don't help. Everybody just gets on. Like, everybody's talking now. Everybody got a podcast. Everybody's is the new marriage coach. Everybody's the new relationship coach. And ain't nobody coaching themselves. Because if you were coaching yourself, when it says power of life and death is found in the tongue, then go back and check out a couple of your episodes and ask yourself, do you give life or do you give death? And that's why, me personally, I kind of do my own thing.
Excellent. So you heard his comments. Now, as you guys know, I'm not a really big football guy, but apparently there was a story surrounding Ray Lewis about a fatality that took place around 2000, and people were pushing back on this, and I just want to quickly give the context here. So it says Ray Lewis was not convicted of murder, but he was charged with it following a street fight outside an Atlanta nightclub in 2000 that resulted in the deaths of Jackneth Baker and Richard Lawler. Lewis, along with two friends, Reginald Oakley and Joseph Sweeting, were initially charged with murder, but pleaded down to obstruction of justice. Lewis became the state's key witness, and the other two men were acquitted of murder charges after a jury found the killings to be an act of self-defense, right? Well, apparently, this is something that really stood out to a lot of people, because a lot of people were essentially saying, how can you, Ray Lewis of all people, speak about virtue, speaking about going to heaven and all of that, those different things. And they started to call him out online. So I want to read some comments from a post here that I got from the Art of Dialogue on Twitter. And the reason I want to talk about this one is because this post generated 2.3 million views. And I just want to go through some of the comments from what people said. So it says, one guy says, coming from someone that was charged with a double murder in 2000. Another guy says, talking about gossip podcasts while being on a podcast gossiping. Make it make sense. Another guy says, was he feeling this way before or after he was acquitted of murder? Most of us are old enough to remember how Ray Lewis used to live. Another guy said, he beat a M charge, so now for the rest of his life, he's got to act holier than thou. A man died because of you, but Shannon picking up drinking Henny is where you draw the line, is crazy. Continues on. Another guy says, shocked about what content? What is he talking about? Another guy says, I understand how the perception of Shannon Sharpe has been, and so much assumptions more than that, but I would be upset. Hear Ray say this because I believe Shannon was there for Ray at his lowest and darkest time in his life. Another guy said, imagine a murderer criticizing someone's freedom of speech. Another guy said, didn't Ray X a guy? And then it just kept on going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And essentially what people are saying, based off of what I can ascertain from this, is that people are calling out Ray Lewis because he was acting sanctimonious on Patrick Davis' podcast in terms of the comments that he made about Shannon Sharpe, when he himself has a history. And that's what people are calling him out for. Now, whether or not he was acquitted of it is irrelevant. What matters is that you were a part of it in some people's mind. You think of the case of Kobe. That case was dismissed ultimately, but people still call him that, right? When people want to stigmatize you, they hold on to things even if it wasn't proven to be true. That's what they want to do. But guys, here's the thing. Let's say we grant you that all of the things you said about Ray Lewis are correct, even though they're wrong. How does that change what he's saying? Because to me, it comes off as a deflection. Yes, I understand the messenger may be flawed, but is the message flawed? And I think people are trying to dismiss Ray Lewis by saying, well, you are no one to be talking, as if to say the points that he's making aren't valid. And he's making some valid points. And the things that Ray Lewis is talking about, for example, the drinking, as I said on the live that we did, I was surprised to hear from other people when they said Shannon Sharpe never used to drink. And I'm like, Shannon Sharpe never used to drink? What are you talking about? He does this and does that. He's like, he doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. He don't do none of that. I said, but what about this person? He said, that's just a character he's playing. And then when I heard Steven Jackson interview Skip Bayless, and he was like, that character was making him feel uncomfortable. Then Stephen A. Smith said that character was making him feel uncomfortable. So basically, these guys were saying that Shannon put on a mask to make money. Now, the fact of the matter is this. Do people get into character and pretend to be people that they're not to be successful? Yes, they do. My thing is this. If you're going to do it, which you have every right to do it, and you're going to benefit by doing it, don't get upset when people point out what you're doing. Don't get upset. Because, in fact, you are doing it. You are playing a character. You're putting on a clown suit. So don't be upset that people say, hey, bro, this is what you're doing. This is my thing. Because if you're going to benefit from it and all that, you're just basically saying, well, you don't get to say nothing. No, we can have an opinion on it. We can have an opinion on it, especially when we notice that, wait a minute, this behavior doesn't match what we as people know you in real life to be. I gave the example of Marcellus Wiley, and I'm going to bring it up again. You see how cool and natural and down-to-earth Marcellus Wiley is when you see him on YouTube or wherever else? It's the exact same way when you talk to him. You're not like, oh, there's no different person. It's one person. Every time you talk to him, he's the same person. He's not playing a character. And to me, that speaks to one's authenticity. You don't have to be somebody else to be successful. You're being successful in your own skin. And I just want to divert quickly here. Go off topic. I tuned into a guy talking about Nas yesterday. And he brought up a point about Nas that I didn't notice. Growing up, Nas wasn't one of like my favorite rappers. Now in my 30s, Nas is bro. It's Nas, and I mean, Nas is there. I listen to Dave East, but Nas is just incredible, right? And he says something about Nas that I thought was pretty interesting. He said, if you look at everybody throughout the course of their career, they've had to reinvent themselves and change and adapt to the times. He said Nas never did that. Nas never tried to sound like the South.